order. This is a closed session of the City Council. Could I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Narenheim.
Here.
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
Councilmember Keller-Jedovich. Here. Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Councilmember Barron.
Here.
Mayor Light.
Here. Do we have any blue folder items?
None for closed session.
Okay, any public comments on closed session items and non-agenda items? Nobody's in the audience? Anyone online?
We do not have anyone on Zoom, and there are no e-comments for closed session.
Okay, would you care to read off what we're going to be discussing in closed session tonight?
Sure. As authorized by the government code, as listed on the published agenda, the following items will be discussed in closed session. Items F1 through F7 are under the title Conference of Legal Counsel Existing Litigation. For item F1, the name of the case is City of Redondo Beach et al. Versus California State Water Resources Control Board, case number 20-STCP03193. For F2, the name of the case is New Community TLA LLC versus City of Redondo Beach, City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, and those 1 through 100 inclusive, case number 23-STC-B10146. For F3, the name of the case is New Community TLA LLC and Leonid Postonikov versus City of Redondo Beach and City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, case number 22-TRC-P00203. For item F4, the name of the case is New Community TLA LLC versus City of Redondo Beach, City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, City of Redondo Beach Department of Community Development et al., case number 23-STC-P00426. For F5, the name of the case is 9300 Wilshire LLC versus City of Redondo Beach, City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, City of Redondo Beach Department of Community Development, and those 1 through 100 inclusive, case number 23-STC-P02189. For F6, the name of the case is in regards to 9300 Wilshire LLC, bankruptcy, City Cal case number 223-BK-10918-ER. For F7, the name of the case is Yes in My Backyard, a California nonprofit corporation, Sandra Troust, an individual, versus City of Redondo Beach, City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, City of Redondo Beach Department of Community Development, and those 1 through 25 inclusive, case number 23-TRC-P00325. And for item F8, Conference with Legal Counsel and Labor Negotiator, the employee organization is the Redondo Beach Teamsters Union, Local 911. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager Witzinski, who will be speaking to these items, please?
Yes, Mayor. For all items this evening, myself, City Attorney Mike Webb, and I believe Assistant City Attorney Cheryl Park. For items F1 through F7, we will be joined by outside legal counsel John Wellner and Abby O'Brien. And then for item F8, Human Resources Director Diane Strickfadden will be joining us.
Okay, thank you. So could I get a motion to recess to closed session?
Motion to recess to closed session.
Second.
Okay, motion is second, all four?
Aye.
Okay, we will be recessing the closed session and we'll be returning to report out on any actions and start the open session on or about 6 p.m. Thank you. Meeting to the open session of our closed session. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Nierenheim.
Here.
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
Councilmember Kalujetovic.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji. Here. Councilmember Barrett.
Here.
Mayor Light.
Here. Let's see, City Manager Witzinski, anything to report out of closed session?
No reportable action this evening, Mayor.
Okay, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn to Tuesday next week at 6 PM.
Actually, this is to adjourn to the next meeting.
No, we're gonna, we'll be adjourning. I will so move that to do a closed session start at 6 PM. We're not, no open session.
So I think what the clerk is trying to tell you is that everything that you're here for, we can just leave if you make that motion. So when you adjourn to the closed session now,
Open session, yeah.
today's closed session, today's open session. And then at the end of the meeting, you'll just
Okay.
adjourn till 6 PM
But we're
next week.
gonna, okay, but we will, just for the public's
Right,
knowledge,
that's
we're
fine.
gonna be having closed session next week at 6 PM, and we will not have an open session. So when we adjourn at whatever time we get done
end of the
tonight,
night, yeah.
we will be making that motion. Okay, with that, can we do a roll call for the open session of the city council?
Councilmember Nierenheim.
Here.
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
Councilmember Kalujetovic.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Councilmember Barrett.
Here.
And Mayor Light.
Here. Let's see, if we have any veterans or active duty military in the audience, please stand to be recognized for your service. I guess I'm the only one again. Everybody? Okay, let us all stand now for the salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence afterwards. I'd like to call up Tegan, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Tegan, the floor is all yours.
Good evening. My name is Tegan. I am a second grader at Borough Heights Elementary School. My favorite subject in school is social studies. I love riding my bike to the harbor to see the boats in Redondo Beach. Please put your right hand over your heart and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could remain standing for a moment of silent invocation. Okay, please be seated. Tegan, come on up. Great job.
Yes, well done. Thank you for coming.
Girl. Nice job. You got a good one, Mom? Thank you, Tegan. Well done. Okay, presentations and proclamations. I have no proclamations or presentations tonight, so we'll go around for announcements from the council. Councilmember Nierenheim.
Yeah, I want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Welcome to the first council meeting of the year. Wanted to let everyone know that my first community meeting is actually this Saturday. It's the second Saturday of the year. Things get going just like that. Usual place, Alta Vista, 9:30. We'll be there with all the fixings of coffee and donuts and all the other good stuff. So come on down. Everyone's invited. Also wanted to thank Public Works and for taking care of the holiday stroll area, the holiday lights area. It was very busy this year, and the public safety for doing a continuous checks down there. It was a lot of parking. Didn't get any complaints really during Christmas time. I got to follow up with some people, but thank you very much to staff for going down there, closing that place up, and doing a check for police and fire safety services down there. I know last year it was a giant mess, and this year with Christmas on a Tuesday, this year Tuesday, Wednesday, it was a long weekend. So I know those residents down there are very happy about that, so I appreciate that. Other than that, there is a blood drive this week, so make sure you sign up for that. and come on down for that. It's always a good time. It's always the beginning of the year when we do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Yeah, I'd like to echo Happy New Year to everybody. And the district to community meeting for January will be held either the third or fourth week, the latter part of the third week of January or the beginning part of the fourth week. So hang tight. I'll have an announcement for that. It'll also be on Zoom. So, but wish everybody a Happy New Year and welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kalujevic.
Yes, the District 3 community meeting is also this Saturday on Zoom at 9:30. You can register on the Redondo Beach website, my council page. And I want to shout out to our fire department who is out there helping with the Palisades fire. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you. Councilmember Obaji.
Echo everything else folks have said. Happy New Year, and thanks to our firefighters. Also want to thank our police officers. They responded to a car gathering, a disruptive car gathering at the Living Spaces parking lot a couple weeks ago. And brought in also Torrance PD, and ultimately the Los Angeles County Sheriff's airship showed up and got those folks to leave. And then our police officers cited a lot of those vehicles that were engaged in unlawful conduct and impounded some of them. So great vigilant action by our police department. Thank you for that. And also we'll have our community meeting, North Redondo community meeting, February 3rd. Councilmember Barrett will tell us a little bit more about that.
Councilmember Barrett.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we're going to have the community meeting February 3rd, 6 p.m. at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. It's going to be a joint meeting, District 5 and District 4, Councilmember Obaji. And we're proud to announce that we will be joined by the Redondo Beach Public Works Department. We're going to be discussing current issues, hot topics, answering questions, including potential work to be done or not on Aviation Boulevard. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no different announcements. You guys covered it all, but Happy New Year to everybody. Our first council meeting of the new year, so we're going to hit it running. Can I get a motion to approve the order of the agenda, or does somebody have something? There's nothing to really pull, but.
Motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second, all four?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to take an agency recess to the regular meeting of the Community Financing Authority. So I'm calling the meeting the regular meeting of the Community Financing Authority. Could I get a roll call, please?
Member Nierenheim,
Here.
Member Lowenstein,
Here.
Member Kalujevic,
Here.
Member Obaji.
Here.
Member Barrett.
Here.
Chairman Light.
Here. Can I get a motion to approve the order of agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All four?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Any blue folder items?
For this,
Okay, thank you. We have consent calendar items. Would anybody like to pull any of the consent calendar items? C1 through C4? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before we take our vote, any public comment on items C1 through C4? Okay, all four?
for the record,
Anybody opposed?
and for the record, no e-comments.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I assume.
Let's see, we have no excluded consent calendar items. Is there any public participation on non-agenda items? Would anybody like to address the council on the financing authority?
I have none,
Anybody online? Nobody?
or e-comments.
Okay, so with that, we'll take a motion. Oh, any referrals to staff? None? Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the financing authority.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all four?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Can I get a roll call on the going back to open session?
Councilmember Nierenheim,
Here.
Councilmember Lowenstein,
Here.
Councilmember Kalujevic.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Councilmember Barrett.
Here.
Mayor Light.
Here.
Thank you.
Just for the record, the parking authority meeting was canceled. Do we have any blue folder items?
Yes. We have,
Bless you.
for J1, related to public participation on non-agenda items, we have public communications, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, consent calendar. Anybody like to pull anything on the consent calendar? Councilmember Narenheim.
I do not. Thank you.
Councilmember Lowenstein?
I hate to pull it, but on H3, like, why do we have minutes from January of last year?
It was just inadvertently missed.
Okay, okay. That was, it seems really long ago.
It's really surprising.
Okay, that's it then, thank you.
Good catch. Councilmember Kalajerovich.
None, thank you.
Councilmember Abaji.
None, thank you.
Councilmember Barrett. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar items H1 through H8.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does anyone from the audience wish to address the consent calendar items H1 through H8? Anybody online?
We have none.
Okay. So all four?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so that carries. Okay, so we're going to jump down to item L, public, I'm sorry. Comment, item J, public participation on non-agenda items. This is the time for the public to speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda tonight for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes, and each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the mayor and the council, and each speaker will get to speak only once. We'll start with the speaker cards that we have, and the first is Georgette Ganter, and the second is Rick McQuinn.
Good evening, Mayor, council people, city staff. My name is Georgette Gantner, District 2, and I would like to take this second to declare myself as a candidate for mayor for this year. I'm very excited with what's happening in the city. There's a lot of things happening as far as Measure FP for the fire department, as everybody knows, school, Measure S, improvements to the school. I really thrive on collaboration, and as mayor, I would totally look forward to working with new candidates and existing candidates, existing council members. After living here for 44 years, raising kids, volunteering, and owning a talent payroll business, I've met a lot of people and I've seen a lot of changes in the city. As a result, I think I have a healthy perspective of the city, and past council meetings have contributed original ideas, some of which I will address in a minute. I also believe that now is one of the best times to live, and what I've said with the changes. And of course, we have challenges too with the metro, hoping that it won't run behind people's homes. AS property and the beach city and their desire to improve their property. But these challenges energize me, and I would so look forward to helping out with that. I would also like to briefly comment about a meeting a couple of weeks ago where Councilman Behrens had responded to the public and their comments and concerns about dispensaries in District 4, even though he's in District 5. And he took the comments and took them to heart and made Easy Reader found it necessary to do an article, and it was very successful, and I applaud you for your efforts for that. They're concerned because they're worried about their kids' health and it influencing them. But I think there's another reason you should be concerned to not have dispensaries on Artesia Boulevard, and that is the upcoming beautification project of $450,000 that's being budgeted that could go up as high as $1 million, depending on funds in the Public Art Commission. And a few months ago, as you know, I did a presentation to you guys. I did a walkabout on Artesia Boulevard, and I made note of 194 lots there, and I wrote down all the businesses, residences, and the vacant lots. So I also like to just mention, right now there's 5 smoke shops, 4 liquor stores, 6 massage parlors. Maybe you don't need 2 dispensaries. Maybe that's another reason. But the end result of the money and the beautification on the street, you know, we could go another way. And here's the last thing I'd like to suggest, that I don't know about the legality on this, but I know a lot of people say there's a medicinal effect for cannabis. You know, then maybe we should think about locating them near a medical center, or maybe one goes next to Torrance Memorial, maybe one goes next to a little company, and maybe the hours go from 8 to 6, Monday through Saturday. That way it might be easier to regulate, plus they'll have security. So
Thank you.
it's just a reason to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Rick McQuillan, I'm sorry. I think that's the way it's spelled here. And Ron Morocco. Is it McQuillan? It's McQuillan. Okay.
Hi, I'm Rick McQuillan. Happy New Year. I know some of you, and it's nice to meet you all. I live in Manhattan Beach, and I love the South Bay, and I'm very involved with Redondo, with a current focus on Artesia Boulevard business development. Some NRBBA members, including myself, have started a business development project for Artesia. Our growing team has expertise in real estate, finance, development, integrated marketing, and technology. Some plans for the near future include our Occupy Artesia database, which will help us to identify, communicate, and fill vacancies with an optimum mix of businesses. Our See Artesia map will provide a commerce community. You heard that here first. We'll provide a new, fun way for residents and visitors to engage with merchants. Our Activate Artesia module provides a way for businesses to communicate and hold events for the Boulevardiers. Think Dine Around Artesia, which we already have, thanks to Robin Garfield, but add Shop Around Artesia, Image Days, Home Improvement Days, Doctor Days, Pop-Up Week, etc. Any of you high schoolers interested in programming, you can ask me for my...
So you're supposed to address the council.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. Very sorry about that.
That's okay.
We might have some interesting high school projects here. To pull all this together, our current candidate strategy is the Artesia Style Boulevard. In other words, Artesia would become a destination for personal style and image, home style, lifestyle, and artistic and aesthetic appreciation. The Boulevard already has some of these elements, and we'll build on those. We'll face challenges, of course, from both the Boulevard itself and the changing environment for local retail. But we're working on a unique branding and positioning, some new marketing messages, and some new technology approaches. Now, call me crazy, but my 5-year vision is we'll need to keep a wait list for retailers, especially style retailers that want a storefront on Artesia Boulevard. I welcome and urge you to contact me with any questions, referrals, RFIs, requests for information, comments, suggestions, be on the lookout, or stories. I would truly appreciate to hear from any of you at any time. Please contact me at rick@mcqcorp.com. That's RICK@mcqcorp.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick, for all you're doing.
Thank you, and appreciate the efforts you're putting into our community. Have you been working with the Economic Development Department?
I've talked to them a little bit, and when I went to the chamber member forum, yeah, Mara said to connect with them, so I'm going to reconnect with them this year.
Okay.
And that's where I think I may be able to find some high schoolers to help with
If you
some
don't
of this.
mind me, if you don't mind on the email, include me in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I emailed you all of this before, so.
Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Look
You
forward
bet.
to
Thank you.
results. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, Ron Morocco and then Dan Elder.
Happy New Year, Mayor, council members, Ron Morocco, District 3. I wanted to give you an update on the Path of History contract that still hasn't been presented to council. We're on day 168, almost halfway through the budget. Actually, we are more than halfway through the budget year, and it hasn't been presented. What I did as an update is I did do a public records request to find out what's holding up the process, and I want to share with you what I've learned. As expected, and I've had this experience before and I've shared with you, I don't get all the documents I expect to get, and I know that there are some documents that weren't produced, so I'll have a discussion with the city attorney about that. But what I didn't expect to get was this, and I think you could see it. It's one massive reduction, and this is just a sample of multiple documents that were redacted. No explanation was given as to why it was redacted. no explanation was given who ultimately authorized the redaction. And the first question I had to ask myself was this redaction relevant? And it starts off, I apologize, please see Gary's comments below. This is below. The comments are relevant because the part that's not redacted is relevant. But was the content within this salacious, embarrassing, confidential? I did ask the records manager for a copy of the policy. I copied the city attorney with that request. I separately texted the city attorney for the policy. I went to the clerk's office to request a copy of the policy for redaction last week. And by the time I left that office, I actually put in a public records request for the policy, still don't have it. And I think that's a problem given what the state law is. So was this information so damaging that they didn't need to provide me with a copy of it? It turns out that I was part of the email chain myself, so I could actually see what it looked like beforehand. And I'm going to pass out a copy to you all. You can see that the stuff that was redacted was just basic, simple edits. And it is part of what was needed to be seen. I do have a copy of, because obviously this is nice size, this is not nice size to read, but you can see for yourself with regards to that, and I have my update to give you with regards to that. What I'd like to see is a public records request process be transparent, complete. It's an agreement between the city and the members of the community to have an opportunity to find out what the government's all about. And I'm glad there's a bunch of high school students here because I think that's part of the process as well. So I'm going to turn this over to the city clerk for you guys.
Can I get a motion to receive and file? You got a motion? Do we have a second? Motion second, all for it?
Aye. And Mr. Baji, you'll be happy to know I managed to do it in 3 minutes. So thank you all.
For questions for him, clarifying. Would you like to see council have an agendized discussion about the path of history markers?
I would like to see the contract before you, the design contract. That's all I've been asking. There's going to be a discussion at some point, but you can't do anything without the contract in place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Elder, and then Brad Waller.
Good evening, Mayor Light, council members. Happy New Year, city manager, city staff. I'm happy to see so many. My name is Dan Elder. I serve on the school board, although I'm only speaking for myself tonight. I'm also happy to see so many of our students here because this is probably one of the shortest city council member meetings they will ever be able to attend. So lucky for them. Don't know if they planned that, but that works well. I also want to thank our fire department and all the other first responders out there tonight, keeping people safe and putting their lives in line. I'm here tonight because a candidate for city council who currently serves in the Board of Education has published a candidate statement that will appear in the voter information pamphlet. I would like to publicly respond because the statement made is part of an ongoing effort to create controversy and erode public trust in our school district as a campaign talking point. This individual has stated they were responsible for uncovering payments estimated well over $250,000 perceived as illegal and enabling recovery of over $1 million of lost educational revenue. This is a self-serving and incorrect interpretation of a conflict between the state of California, RBUSD board policies, and the city charter. When he discovered the punitive language in the charter, his first action was to contact the city attorney and Councilmember Narenheim to attempt to initiate legal action against every school board member for the past 20 years, instead of working with anyone in RBUSD or the board. This is not whistleblowing, it's an attempt to weaponize the charter for personal political gain. Throwing 20 years of school board members under the bus to try and make yourself look good is incredibly demeaning to those who have given so much to our students. I'm here tonight to stand up for myself and all of the Board of Education members who have served our community honorably and prioritized our students over politics. That includes current and former city council members, many other elected officials, and people like my deceased high school physics teacher who can't defend herself from these types of attacks. It's bizarre that someone who stood before you and talked about receiving nearly $100,000 of what they consider to be illegal compensation is campaigning against the benefits they're choosing to take. No one has ever been forced to take healthcare benefits. If someone feels that strongly about it, maybe they shouldn't be taking them, or else they can reimburse RBUSD. Ultimately, this issue should be settled. There have been numerous public hearings by both the city and school district, and ultimately the public voted on Measure SD and strongly favored moving forward by fixing the city charter to match state law. We've already spent far too much time and money on this. Continuing to use an issue which has already been resolved for personal political gain isn't good for our students, and it isn't good for our community. RBUSD is ranked the #1 best school district in the Los Angeles area and #5 in the state by niche. We work incredibly hard to give our students the best, and this politically driven false narrative against RBUSD needs to end. Thank you all for your service and your time tonight.
Thank you. Brad Waller, and then Marie Puterball, and that's the last card I have.
I guess that's as high as that goes. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Brad Waller, and I am a 38-year resident and candidate for City Council representing District 1. The issue of allowing commercial cannabis storefronts in Redondo Beach is a significant decision. While I respect the huge time and effort that has been spent working on this proposal, I've met with a lot of experts and community members over the last few weeks who've raised serious concerns that warrant a pause. Firstly, the financial instability of the cannabis industry cannot be ignored. Recent reports indicate that many businesses in the sector are struggling to stay solvent and are not paying their taxes due to the state of California. Adding to this uncertainty is the disturbing investigation by the LA Times, which revealed widespread use of pesticides in cannabis products sold across California. These are real issues that could have direct implications for the health, safety, and well-being of our residents. Moreover, with the upcoming election, our city leadership may change substantially. A new mayor, 3 new council members could soon join us, potentially reshaping the vision and priorities for Redondo Beach. I believe it is prudent to pause and allow the next council and mayor, elected by the people, to weigh in on this important matter. We owe it to our community to ensure that any decision we make is both thoroughly informed and in the best interest of our residents. Let's pause the ordinance process until we can address these concerns and make a choice that is in the best health and financial interests of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Marie Puterball, and then that's my last card for tonight, so I'll open up to the public.
Marie Puterbaugh. I live in District 5. And my phone is not cooperating. Okay. I'm here tonight to raise some serious concerns, again, about Ralph Strutzenberg, who is currently seeking to join your city council. I have a report here from an attorney based on verified findings that his actions as a board member and a leader reveal a troubling pattern of behavior that I believe should disqualify him from holding public office. First, Mr. Strutzenberg has shown a blatant disregard for public accountability and the democratic process. On an October 17, 2024 board meeting at Southern California Regional Occupation Center, he violated the Ralph M. Brown Act, and I have that in writing from an attorney, when I came up to speak and he cut me off. The action was not just inappropriate, it was illegal. The investigation sustained that his actions denied a resident, me, my right to speak on matters that directly tied to his behavior as a leader. Second, his leadership style has been described as hostile and intimidating. Witnesses to the meeting called his behavior terrifying and disrespectful, with one person stating they felt deeply uncomfortable watching him attempt to silence me by asking for my microphone to be turned off. Is this the kind of temperament we want from somebody representing our community? His history of conflicts and alleged lawsuits that I've asked him for somebody with transparency he's never answered if all the lawsuits attached to his name are his, show a troubling pattern of divisiveness. He's pushed other board members, like the one you just heard, to maybe consider not being reelected, and we do have an excellent, excellent school board. And he's created an environment of chaos versus collaboration. He should be building bridges, not burning them. Even more concerning is his lack of transparency. And I'm going to ask you to read this. I'm going to do a receive and file. When he was asked about what happened, he gave, the report describes it as implausible responses, claiming he could not recall a month ago if he was at the meeting, claiming he didn't know who I was. And, you know, how can he say he's transparent and accountable when I have 2 legal documents that contradict that? At this time, I'd like to formally submit this investigation. It's public record. I talked to the attorney. She said this is public record at SoCal Rock, so I'm not speaking out of school here. And, you know, I'd really, like Jim, I like you. And I'm very disappointed to see that you're the #1 endorsement for him. I really am. And this is not against you. I want to protect you. I really, really do. I wouldn't wish him on any board in the world. You do your job and you have a right to do it without intimidation, without bullying, without chaos, and without whatever that is. So thank you.
Anybody want to make a motion to
Motion to
receive?
receive and file.
Second.
All for it?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's all the cards I have. Does any member of the public wish to come up and address the city council? Come on, one of you students can come up and say something. Okay, anybody online?
I have none and I have no e-comments.
Okay. So with that, we will jump to item N1. Discussion and possible action regarding updates to the municipal code to streamline applications for electrical vehicle charging stations. So you have the ball.
Eleanor?
Oh, sorry.
There we go. Now I can start. Good evening, City Council. My name is Mark Weiner. I'm the Director of Community Development. I'm joined by our building official, Lorena Souls, who's going to assist me with this presentation. So what's before you tonight is an ordinance it was prepared in response to State Assembly Bill 1236. The Assembly Bill requires local jurisdictions to adopt such an ordinance that creates an expedited and streamlined process for electric vehicle charging stations. And in recent years, the state has passed a number of laws that require this of energy systems such as EV charging stations, solar panels, and also housing, which we've dealt with in recent months, which really look to streamline the entitlement process and make it by right. So to meet these new streamlining requirements, the department has been working on refining its procedures and enhancing the use of technology. On February 4th, we're going to be bringing a presentation to the City Council. We're going to discuss some of the things we've been working on internally. Also, the department recently took an organizational assessment. We're going to provide the results of that and what the action items are to address the recommendations. So I just wanted to note that because some of the things that we're doing on that front are assisting us with meeting these state laws. As far as the ordinance is concerned, so the subject ordinance was modeled after an example provided by the state. They provided various examples for cities to use. It was tailored to the city of Redondo Beach. Some of the key components of the ordinance are that, number one, the building official is required to create a checklist to make it available to the public for application of the EV charging station. That was included with your packet. It's not an item for council approval, but we provided that for information purposes. And the intent is that it lays out the requirements. It makes it very transparent to the applicant in terms of what the standards are, what needs to be submitted to obtain the permit. Another requirement is that we must accept electronic submittals of the applications. This is something that the city came into compliance with this past summer. We launched our new permitting system, which does e-permitting, and we're actually in the process of upgrading to a more advanced system that's going to handle multiple departments within the city, will allow us to keep accepting these electronically. And then also the ordinance provides some statutory deadlines on when these permits have to be processed, the timeliness of it. And then one key provision of the ordinance that I wanted to point out, in the majority of cases, it is a by right approval. That means they submit straight for building permit, does not go through the planning and zoning process. However, there is a provision in this mirrors state law that allows the building official, in agreement with the community development director, to require a conditional use permit if it's determined there may be public health and safety hazards. So that is a provision in the code. And that decision to require a CUP would be appealable to the Planning Commission. So I do want to note for these types of projects, I don't foresee this being the case for a standalone charging station or a few. And I was trying to think of examples of where this may kick in. And I think it would really apply if somebody, for say, was wanting to do a charging center with maybe several hundred charging stations, and there could be potential light and traffic impacts and things that could impact public health and safety. So I think in those cases, the city could probably make the findings that a conditional use permit's required. But in your standard case of installing a few electric charging stations, typically with an existing parking lot, it would typically just be straight to building permits. And with that, staff has provided the recommendation on the slide here, which is to introduce by title only the ordinance. And this would be the first reading. And I'm available for questions, as is our building official.
It's my understanding we've been operating to this for quite some time.
That's correct. It was passed in 2015. So
we've been compliant, but this is catching up the ordinance.
This is our housekeeping
To
item.
match what the state bill says.
That's correct.
Okay, thanks. Anyone on the council? Councilmember Obaji.
Do we know how many applications for vehicle charging stations we've had in Redondo Beach, let's say in the last year or the year prior?
Not off the top of my head. Typically what we're seeing right now. Not off the top of my head, but typically what we're seeing right now is mostly EV in residential places. So there have been some commercial, but the majority is residential right now.
Residential require them to get a permit from you?
Yes.
So he puts a home charger in their garage?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Okay. And what's the time limit that you have to approve a permit for an EV charger?
Well, typically for this ordinance, and it's generally geared more for commercial places where you have larger charging facilities, it's 10 days. However, when it comes to residential, as long as they have an electrician providing their load calculation, we can issue that right over the counter, or we issue it right online. So it's pretty simple.
And have you, relative to commercial, have you been able to stay under the 10-day requirement thus far? Or have you had no applications for commercial EV charging?
No, we have had over at Northrop Grumman, we've had one this year, and that one, it's accepting the application within 10 days. We review it, we provide corrections, the architect has to go back and make the modifications to the plans and then resubmit. So it's still a process, a plan review process, but we do the first intake application acceptance within 10 days.
Okay. Do you know how long it took for Northrop to get their permits approved from the time they submitted and you accepted the application to the time it was stamped, ready to go?
I cannot recall.
Okay. So this is obviously critically important to a dense residential community like we have in District 4. A lot of people live in apartments or renting and are unable to install chargers. So commercial EV chargers are going to be more and more critical. We don't have that many right now. We have them at the hotel. What's that? The Hotel Marine. And
Walgreens
then down at okay, Walgreens Sapphire, yeah, that's further south, but and then in Hermosa Beach. So I'd really like to make sure that we have an emphasis on processing these as quickly as possible, making it super easy for people to get EV chargers in Redondo Beach, please.
Yeah, and you might also recall that we've made significant grant application efforts. Luke in particular's worked with Edison and others to try to identify sites that would be funded through either state or federal dollars. And despite our best efforts, I think we've submitted at least 2 applications I'm aware of and had conversations about a third. We have not yet received funding. There's a bit of a limitation there, but we will continue to try to add that infrastructure to the city.
Awesome. And of course, I mean, I don't know if this is on topic or not, but maybe we could offer either spaces at the Transit Center or more spaces at the North Branch Library for EV charging or the Performing Arts Center. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Narenheim.
Thank you. So didn't we have something similar to this for homes and solar panels as well?
Solar, yeah.
Right? a year ago or so, I want to say.
It does mirror the solar panel requirements. For those requirements, the city is obligated to accept the applications electronically. The city has to produce a checklist, and then there's also a time limit on how long we have to review the application.
I like this checklist. Did you guys make this?
That is correct.
Can we use this checklist on all of our major improvements all the way throughout? Because it's the number one question I get it all the time. What do I have to do? And moving forward. So whatever you guys did with this checklist is great. As your requirements on there too, regarding inspections and plans and stuff like that people can look at that and say, oh, this is when they're gonna come out and look at. It makes life easier for the permit applicant and owner, making buildings go faster. So I really appreciate that. With all of these new homes coming online, is there a requirement for the new homes to have charging stations?
So we're going to be adopting a new code that will go into effect January 1, 2026. And I'll be starting the adoption process. I'm going to try and get an early start, starting around April this year, doing the research, what I need to do. So I haven't looked into what the upcoming code changes are as far as electrical and what those requirements are going to be, but I can circle back around and update my director so he can provide that information to you.
Okay, that'd be wonderful. And the last question here is, we've had a lot of issues. I know a lot of people trying to get electric stations, electric chargers set up on commercial residents and commercial property, excuse me. And I know we've tried to get some more in the village in the parking triangle there. And the biggest no that we've gotten so far was SC has come back and said supposedly that can't supply enough power. Do you know about electrical infrastructure around town to be able to support this? Is there something that we have to go out to SCE, or is there going to be an issue moving forward with having all these electrical car chargers in place in the homes?
I can't comment on that just yet. I don't know, so I don't have an answer for you, but I can look into that.
Yeah, I think we're
Getting a little out of the topic.
We'll look into it. I do think that some of the feedback we received from SCE and some of our site-specific explorations was we had limitations. They just had capacity issues with delivering new transformers and the necessary power to support the infrastructure. I intend to reach out to Ms. Forte with Edison to talk about that. I do think they have some regional limitations, but my sense is it depends on the exact location and the particular property that's being considered. So, but we'll do some follow-up and get that back to you.
And that's what it comes down to for me is I want to be able to support this, but we've got to have the infrastructure for this. I know we've had a lot of places that have been denied. I don't want that to be caught up in this application process.
And that is true of a lot of areas in California, so I know that's a concern across California. So, but we can do the research and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay, that's all I have on the screen. Anybody else? Okay, can I get a motion? This seems pretty cut and dry. We've been operating to this. We're just documenting.
This is housekeeping, I would say. Ordinance housekeeping, I would describe it as.
Motion introduced by title only, ordinance number 3286-25.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Before we vote, any member of the public wish to address the council on this item?
Just really quickly, what's the difference between having one of the mechanisms installed as opposed to, if you already have 210 or 220 in your house or in your garage, is that the same? Can you just do that without having to install this, or is it going to happen to where you have to have a permit? And if you have an electric car and you have to, it's safer, or you know what the limitations are?
It really goes back to the connector and the type of vehicle that you purchase. So it really goes back to the connector and then what the load capacity is of that vehicle and what the load capacity is of the existing meter.
Okay.
So in a lot of instances, the existing meter on existing homes is too small and would need to be upgraded. So there would be some expense there. On newer dwellings, brand new homes, they're already equipped with a 225 amp service that can support
an electric vehicle. So they're already building it into the new panels that go into new dwellings. But it's a challenge for the existing dwellings.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public wish to address the council on this item? Anybody online?
None online and no e-comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So all for?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, city manager items?
Excuse me, let me read the
Oh,
ordinance.
I'm sorry.
Introduction by title only, ordinance number 32686-25, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Redondo Beach, amending the Redondo Beach Municipal Code by adding Chapter 28, electric vehicle charging stations, to Title 9 to provide an expedited, streamlined permitting process for electric vehicle charging stations for introduction and first reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, city manager items?
Just to start, mirror what many of you said, Happy New Year to the community, Happy New Year to all of you, and our staff, I know, are enthusiastic about 2025, lots of excitement ahead, lots of new challenges. We look forward to getting back to work and tackling those items. In particular today, just an update for the community. We did send 2 fire engines to support the very destructive fire up in the Palisades area, up to over, I believe, 1,200 acres now, estimating at least 100 structures that will be lost in totality, if not more. Additional high winds are expected over the evening period and into the early morning. And we have 2 crews there battling flames, supporting existing structures, evacuating personnel. We are very much in the thick of it. So keep your thoughts with our folks today. So far, so good. Our crews are safe. Haven't had any reported significant injuries for fire police personnel in the region as of yet. But this is a very precarious fire, and we are very much involved. So I just wanted you to all be aware of that. We are covered locally. We have our 2 reserve engines on standby. We have a very strong fleet, thanks to a lot of the council's efforts in advancing and accelerating some of those repurchases. And so we feel very well equipped here at home, but we are very much supporting the regional response.
Yeah, I'd just like to lump onto that. We also had our first Voters and Alert Network announcement related to these wins. So
we were anticipating these wins. This was not a surprise event like it was, I think, back in 2011 when there was quite a bit of destruction that occurred, I believe, in the La Cañada, Flint Ridge, sort of Pasadena area. But this fire obviously is not a good one for the region. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, mayor and council items, mayor and council referrals to staff. Councilmember Naranine.
Yeah, I'd like to get a budget response report on parking permits and where we are with the whole program itself. I know a couple of years ago I asked to get the ability to prorate parking permit program and be able to do that.
Move off the annual cycle.
Move off the annual, see where we are with the amount of sales that we have currently as compared to prior years. And yeah.
Sure.
For the mid-year.
For mid-year, yeah.
Is that it?
That's it, thank you.
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Just 2 things. One is informational. One is, maybe Chief Butler knows this, but are both new engines operational for us?
Certainly one of the new is operational. I'm not sure if our most recent Seagrave that's on scene has been fully equipped and is operational. I'd have to confirm that, but it very well could be.
The other question is, when are we bringing back the ordinance on signage, electronic signage?
First meeting in February, I believe, is when it's coming.
Okay.
Is that the 3rd? I forget. No. Is Mark still here? Yeah, first meeting in February.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelajarevic.
Yeah, I'd like to agendize a discussion about wave-generated power in our harbor. We've been discussing something with Alta Sea, and I think it's a good discussion for the entire council to see if that's something that we're interested in.
We can look at there, and if you wouldn't mind, leave the referral, if everybody's supportive of this, open. It possibly might qualify for a closed session conversation first, moving towards open session second. So
Yeah.
if we can do that, I would recommend that approach. We've looked at it thus far. There are some potential legal implications, potential leasing implications associated with it. So we'll bring it to you
Open or
at the
closed
appropriate
as
time. Yeah.
appropriate, and timing flexible depending on, how it moves forward.
Second. All for it?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay,
That's it.
Councilmember Abaji.
Hi, Councilmember Nairn, I got my BRR juices going. Can we get a BRR, please, on replacing the fencing around the Perry Park baseball field all around, and also whether it's eligible for Quimby fees?
$100,000.
What's that? Yeah.
So it's $100,000.
100,000,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
I imagine it could be.
I can't.
So it seems like a big job. It's in pretty bad shape. But, and secondly, do we need agendized discussion about the Path of History marker contract so we don't need to keep hearing about it?
There is, Mr. Morocco didn't share, but I know he had a conversation with Ms. House, I believe just before the break, provided an update on where we're at with that. We actually have a design strategy in place. I believe in-house personnel are able to support that function. The contract is more of a procurement item. One of the holdups is we're looking to move towards a higher quality material. We have a vendor that we're using down at Wilderness Park that we think is going to better support that product longer term. So I know it's in the works. I couldn't tell you exactly where we are with that particular purchase order or contract, but that is in motion. So
Okay, so I won't make that, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Gary Margolis because he caught some great typos here. So good job.
Councilmember Barrett.
I have none.
So I've got a couple BRRs. We got barraged with Grinch mail over Christmas about not having the month of December for free parking. So I'd like a BRR on the revenues year over year for December Riviera Village parking revenue and sales tax revenue to see if there was a fiscal impact, what the fiscal impact of that decision was. We have anecdotal comments, but it would be nice to have.
23 versus 24?
Yeah.
Good choice.
And like the council to consider a referral to staff for a closed session to have discussions related to beach life in California Surf Club.
Is that coming anyway?
Well, it's not scheduled right now that I know of.
Not necessarily. I would suggest that perhaps I'll tell you what, we will agendize that topic if we have a formal request from our partner.
It has to be, we always have this discussion late, so I'll make a motion to have that in closed session sooner when you want to have it. Because we always discuss this late.
What's reasonable?
I'll talk to Greg about timing. I think we can have the preliminary discussion fairly quickly. There's some very basic contract terms that our situation is a little bit different currently this particular year and upcoming show than in years past. Not to say that we shouldn't have a conversation.
Can we put it on this Tuesday for a short conversation?
Yeah, I think we could put it on next week as at least a preliminary. I can't give you all the facts associated with it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to have that on the closed session agenda for next week.
I'll second it.
All for it?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And that's all I had, so. Let's see. We are not going to recess back to closed session, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn the closed session to next Tuesday at 6 p.m. And our open session will be the following Tuesday.
21st.
The 21st?
At 6 o'clock normal time.
At 6 o'clock normal time.
Yeah, we would
Closed
likely have a
session
closed session
again.
then, yeah.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, all for it?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Students, you got off easy tonight.